Timcast IRL will be live in Miami with Patrick Bet David, Donald Trump Jr., Matt Gaetz, and Luke Rudkowski. Join us there. Get your tickets by clicking the link in the description below or by going to timcast.com. So we got this story from The Hill. Biden administration sending 800 new troops to border amid migrant crisis. We also have the Texas Governor Greg Abbott declaring an invasion. He previously declared an invasion. He was just reiterating that he had declared an invasion. And we recently learned that the town of city of Eagle Pass, I believe the town, declared an emergency, 4,000 migrants in a single day. I got a lot of questions. It does feel perfect political timing. All of a sudden, this news is back in place. The election's coming up, and now we're getting big news about this. Why is this like a legitimate spike that's just happening right now, or has this been going on for the past 2-3 years?
Go ahead, Ami.
I mean, as somebody who's been who traveled with a number of the caravans coming up here, no, it's been going on for a while. And when you ask them, why are you coming up now? They will tell you because Biden is president. This is what they'll tell you. This is what they told me. I mean, this could not be more obvious. I mean, just look at the statistics when Trump was president versus Biden, right? I mean, this is not debatable.
Well, they have those shirts that, like, what is that? Please let us in, Biden, or something like that. Those, yeah.
Despite the Democrats living in their alternative reality where they say the border is closed. We've closed the border, right? Isn't that what they say all day long?
I reckon.
Yeah, there's a video where it looks like Border Patrol agents open the gates, let them in and count them, and then close it. And these are like African migrants coming in that are being welcomed in by U.S. Border Patrol. They're not protecting our borders.
They're suing Texas for putting up the buoys.
The buoys are down. They've obtained relief in
that. That's right. On the U.S. side.
How dare we?
What are we doing here? What are we doing? Look, at the end of the day, they still believe, despite what we talked about before, where they're making a mistake in terms of how this is going to work out generationally for them. They still think this is the best tactic to lock in generational Democratic votes by letting everybody in. Like I did a video one time where I walked around and I asked the left, and I said, is having a border racist? And they all said, yes, it's racist to have a border because you're not allowing brown people into the country. Now, ironically, when I went across the border and I asked the migrants, is it wrong for America to have a border? They go, no, were you crazy? Like, I want to be here, but you should try to stop me. Like, they get it.
Take a look at this story from the New York Post. Biden secretly has let 221,456 migrants fly into the U.S. in the past year. How is it that we're getting a story that he's sending troops to the border, but he's also letting them all come in? It sounds like it's fake news, or it's just an empty
virtue
gesture.
signal. It's a virtue signal because they're getting hammered by Eric Adams and Hochul and a lot of these sanctuary city jurisdiction left-leaning politicians, and they are in need of some sort of gesture that they can point to that they've been heard. But you don't need to look any farther than the CBP One app that our own Department of Homeland Security developed to ensure that there was a orderly and appropriate passageway for people into our country without too much paperwork. And it was immediately hacked by the cartels and totally utilized by the cartels to move their own people into the country. So we literally built an app for the cartels so that there wouldn't be too much, bureaucratic challenge for them.
How long was it hacked before they realized it had been hacked?
Oh, I mean, it was within a matter of weeks.
Wow. And they were just being used to organize and send
the cartel would wall off any claims that weren't the claims into the system that they had managed, controlled, and monetized.
What's the Florida sentiment, right? I know there's a lot of Cubans and Venezuelans who escaped communism and they come to Florida, and then we also know that Florida has a huge swing towards Republicans in the past election cycle. I'm curious, what's it like on the ground for regular people? How do they feel about the illegal immigration?
Well, it turns out in Florida, we actually have enough people coming to our state just from other states within the United States. We've got the migrants from Illinois and New York and California. Right. There is a new law that Governor DeSantis and our legislature put into effect that creates consequences for people and that ensures that people are held until the ICE detainers are executed on And it's not just going to be released into our community. And we've actually had a lot of successful self-deportation in recent months in Florida, where people who are there illegally are getting up and leaving. I know that because I've had construction companies and lawn care companies call me and say, well, what the heck? This new law in our state is causing all my workers to leave. And there will be some short-term pain when we ultimately reshape our economy around the American experience, not just exploiting people who come here that you can pay under the table.
It's the drugs, man. It's the figurative economic drugs of they want cheap labor to come in, but then they create industry that becomes dependent upon it, and then you become the bad guy for trying to solve the problem. You say we got to deal with illegal immigration, and all of a sudden, oh no, I'm losing my cheap under the table workers. It's your fault.
I don't remember. I mean, there's kids in cages now, but I don't recall AOC drifting in, crying, wearing white like a bartending specter, crying about keeping kids in cages in the last couple of years.
No. It's called because when it was Donald Trump, we had cages for these children, and children were put in cages. But as soon as Biden came in, we replaced the cages in name, and now we call them safety facilities.
That's right. Put the word in front of safety.
Yes.
Once you use the word safety, that means you can do anything you want.
Don't tell McCarthy. It'll be the safety continuing resolution that I'll have to vote on next week.
Or the Patriot continuing resolution.
And by the way, one of the games I now see the people on the left doing and is that they go, well, we send them into the interior of the country, but the majority of people come back for their court case. Now, by the way, technically that's true. But the reason why that's true is because they know you get two, right? The first one they come back for because they know they get an appeal. They never come back for the second one. They come back, but the left never mentions the second one. They only mention the first one statistically because they're right. Because that's the argument now. No. You can let them in. They all come back for their court case.
Unreal.
It's very dark in my mind when I think about excessive immigration and what it's done to countries in the past, what it's done to empires in the past, what it did to Rome.
Are we all thinking about the Roman Empire?
How it hyper-accelerated the fall of the empire? Like
Rome, I was thinking of the UK.
What's the status?
Sure. In the UK,
Lampedusa.
what immigration has done to that country has been devastating to their economy, to their social experience. It's been rough.
France, not much better.
Yeah.
Germany, not much better. Sweden.
Oh yeah, all those Nordic
problems.
socialist economies, all the folks that were displaced from the wars in the Middle East ended up working their way kind of up through Europe and into those benefit structures.
The funny thing about the Scandinavian countries is how Norway was a bit more based and Sweden was a bit more woke. Norway was like, we will absolutely release all the stats on crime, demographics, age, etc. Sweden was like, we're not going to do that. And so what would happen is people in Sweden would look at Norway because it's extremely comparable and be like, yeah, we know our government's lying to us. In Denmark, when you're trying to get on the train to Malmö, you got to give your ID because they're very concerned. It's the Danish. They're super concerned about what's going on. Sweden, they don't care.
So Sweden used to, when they released the crime statistics, they did release the demographics of the crime statistics. They stopped doing that.
Yep.
I'm looking at the Lampedusa,
it's a creepy country.
That Italian island that's been overrun by Tunisian migrants, like 13,000 Tunisians just arrived on this island of 6,000 people or something. France has said yesterday they're not going to welcome the migrants that are in Lampedusa. Poland accused the EU of encouraging human trafficking for allowing this to happen.
They are. The traffickers kick them off Tunisia, off the coast, and then it's military and NGOs that come pick them up. It's all human trafficking.
So when I actually went on the raft with the Syrian migrants from Turkey to Greece.
Wow.
How long was it at that journey?
It's super short, right?
It was maybe 3 hours. You could see Greece. Yeah, you can see Greece when you take off.
I watched people swim.
You're in my
crazy.
We have very different type of trips to the Mediterranean.
I remember when I was having a discussion about my first, because people were dying on this trip.
Oh.
So I had a conversation with the Coast Guard, New York Coast Guard. I said, I need a little bit of advice. And they go, what? I go, well, I need to know what it's like if I'm going on this rafting trip across the ocean, across the Adriatic to Greece. And they go, okay, you're kidding, right? I'm like, no, I'm serious. They go, okay, here's the things that you need. So I needed a type 2 life jacket. Makes sense. It's the kind of thing that if you lose consciousness, it keeps your face up. You needed a strobe light. Also made sense, in case you're in the thing. You needed a flare gun. All these things made total sense. Then they said you need a knife. So I said, okay, I'm assuming that's because if I get caught in the rigging, I can cut myself out. He goes, no. He's like, they're all going to try to steal your life jacket and you have to stab your way out of it. I go,
Wow.
And he goes, and the one last thing you need, you ready for this? Condoms. I go, look, man, I'm a red-blooded American, but I think I could hold myself on a 3-hour raft ride. He goes, no. If you do lose your life jacket, if you blow up condoms and put them under your arm, it'll give you maybe 10, 15 minutes of extra time, and that'd be enough.
So check out this map. You want to pull this up, Carter? This is Greece, and this is Lesvos. You can see it's super close to Turkey. So all the migrants are coming here. There's migrant camps, and then that's Greece. So once you're in Greece, there's a ferry that goes straight to Athens.
But as you're talking about, it's all trafficking. For me to get on this raft, I had to deal with the Turkish mafia.
Yeah.
They controlled the entire thing. And by the way, it's not cheap. It was 2,000 euros if you're a migrant to get a seat on this thing. I don't even know where they're coming.
Not including the condoms.
I'll tell you. I've interviewed two brothers who one brother left before the war got really bad and went to Romania and got I don't know if he got citizenship. He got refugee status. So it allowed him to travel through the Schengen zone, allowed him to work, and he was living a good life doing computer graphic design stuff. His brother stayed behind. Then eventually Europe closes off, saying like, no, we can't take any more refugees. So he tries to get on a raft from Izmir to Lesvos, and he's a young man who has money and works. He saves it up. This is not so. I mean, this is someone fleeing war for sure, but they have money. It's not like it's just people living in rubble.
But they're not. No, they're not. See, here's the thing: they're not fleeing war.
Well, this guy.
They're not going from Syria. They're going from Turkey. They're already once they're in Turkey, you're safe.
Right.
You're not fleeing
Agreed.
war anymore.
Right.
Right now, we're just talking about I want an upgrade on my life conditions. Right. That's the only issue. They're not leaving from Syria to get away. They're already safe physically in Turkey.
I completely agree. Because
And the way Erdogan has used this to leverage the West and the EU has been pretty masterful, right? Whenever he seeks some concession, he threatens to have some massive release out of Turkey. And whenever he gets what he wants, he'll sort of constrain those releases. And so it's become a geopolitical tool.
He's weaponized it for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.